Hello everyone, Weary here. Today we're going to go over some character and QOL settings you might find useful. First things first, we want to open our character configuration menu. You can find that under System, Character Configuration, where I believe the default keybind is K. We're going to start with control settings. And right away we can see we've got two options for how our character moves. We have standard type, which is character based. This is your typical MMO camera, and when you move, the camera moves with you. Or legacy type, which is a little different, and instead leaves the camera in a static position while your character moves. Notice how when I move backwards with legacy type, you run and turn to run backwards rather than backpedal like you do with standard. This can be useful for, if you're trying to get out of an AoE or a telegraphed attack. You're moving really fast with the back pedal there, and as much as you can just right click and turn and run away, being able to just panic press your run backwards key it's helped me a lot. I'm not gonna lie, I played with standard for pretty much the last 10 years and never really could get a hang of legacy. And then I found out that it was because I wasn't using the disable camera pivot button. And then it pretty much just means that you're moving all the time. Unless you hold two directions back at the same time, then you walk, but otherwise. You can also use this to run left and right, which typically is the behavior that your character would have. I have rebound strafe to A and D rather than run right and run left. It frees up a couple extra keybinds, and that means that I can, have Nebula and Rampart up on those to, panic press those instead. Next up, cutscene skipping. So if you've ever been through a dungeon, after the first time, you don't really want to watch the cutscene again unless it's really cool. But you can have the game automatically skip cutscenes for you once you've already seen them. And those are also just found under control settings, cutscene skipping. It's just a bit further down from the movement settings. And you've got skip playback of previously viewed scenario cutscenes, skip playback of previously viewed transportation cutscenes, and skip playback of housing cutscenes. So I've just got the three of those kind of checked off, and basically what that means is once you've seen a cutscene, you don't have to see it again. At the bottom of the control settings menu, we've also got the newly added quest progression settings. These have been added in with Dawn Trail. It allows you to hide players when you're close to NPCs, as well as when you're interacting with quest NPCs. Basically what that means is as you get close to a quest NPC, you'll just notice everybody else around them disappears. This is great for, start of a patch or when a special event happens and you've got people crowding all over things. I think right now it just works for MSQ, but I might be wrong. I've only honestly really done MSQ, and that's what's been most crowded, so I'll have to find that out as we kind of get through this expansion. You can also toggle it, as I said, to hide nearby party members. It hides enough people, it's pretty good. I like it. We go under control settings and target. That will show you your target settings, and that's basically how the game's going to treat the way you target things. If you go and, we'll say, fight this striking dummy, and we're not going to check automatically face target when we're using the action, right? If you're like me and you're tanking a lot of the time and you've got enemies kind of surrounding you, basically what that means is if this thing isn't in front of you, you're not going to hit it. So we want to check automatically face target when using action. I've had my settings set for a pretty long time, so I don't know if this is checked off or on by default, but I highly recommend having it on, because basically now we're not facing it, but if we were to, switch targets to an enemy behind us, we will automatically pull an about face and go and target the guy. Disable targeting of pets and minions when in battle. This, if, you're wandering around, you got some, your little cactuar cutting following you, or one of your friends is a summoner and has a carbuncle out, it'll stop you from targeting them by accident if you were to click on it. Next up, we're going to go over ground targeting settings. So if you're playing a class like Ninja or anything that has like a ground-based AoE, think Scholar or maybe White Mage has them. And you have a ground targeting ring. A lot of times if, you know, for example, you're panicking or you're like trying to place it as far as you can. Once you normally get too far with it, it turns to a purple ring and just comes up with an error, right? If you limit the ring movement to targeting range, it will not go further than, you know, the maximum distance that you can place it. So it doesn't matter where you put your mouse, you can just throw that out there and click, and there you go. No errors. If you don't want to do that, you can also select press action twice to execute. You don't even have to click. You just hit your keybind for Shikuchi twice, and boom. Limit ring movement to targeting range in combination with the press action twice to execute will pretty much make sure that as long as your mouse is far enough out when you press the keybinds twice, you will move the maximum distance possible without even having to move your mouse out there and click. Next, we've got target display settings. There's this one, highlight potential targets. So normally, by default, if you hover over something, nothing really happens, right? Your cursor will change, and that's kind of your indication that you've targeted something. If you select or enable highlight potential targets, what this does is it'll put a yellow outline around whatever you've highlighted with your mouse. So it's just kind of a nice visual cue to let you know that you've like selected something or kind of hovered over something. I find it pretty useful to make sure you're identifying the right enemy to be attacking or making sure that you've actually got the NPC selected rather than another player. Under control settings and character, we've also got some pretty important ones here. Battle effects settings. So if you're the type that, you know, you like doing your 24-man raids or going into Bozja or Eureka or what have you, even PvP, your battle effects settings are something that you want to kind of edit a bit. So if you have them all on, show all, basically that means that anytime anybody uses an ability, you're going to see the effects for it. This can be taxing on your computer, it can murder your FPS, it can be distracting to look at, to say the least. I usually have them set to just show all of my own, limited ones for party, nothing for people outside of my party. This one, maybe you want to see limited things, depending on, you know, depends what it limits. It's hard to say. I don't have an exact list of everything that it limits. But, you know, definitely good for kind of hiding some of those abilities, so you're not seeing everything and just getting flashbanged by every ability that goes off. And then I usually just have PvP just off as well, because you don't need distractions. It's already, you know, hectic enough in there. Lastly, under control settings and mouse, we have a whole bunch of mouse targeting options here. So you can enable clicking on self, which will let you select yourself. You can disable right-click selection of other things, like player characters, non-player characters when you're in battle. So if, you know, you're doing a fate or something that has like an NPC that you need to turn something into, it will stop you from right-clicking on them. Or disabling right-click selection of minions, so, you know, I can't go and right-click on my Cactuar cutting. The important one here that I like is enable clicking on field to remove target. So what that means is that if we target the striking dummy and I don't want to target it anymore, instead of having to press escape or instead of having to press tab to cycle to another enemy, you can just click on it and click off of it. Some people don't like that because, you know, you could accidentally click off of an enemy. I've kind of just gotten used to the option or the setting, and play around with it, see what you like. And then you've got some scroll settings, which normally I just do scroll up and down. I don't really mess with it too much. While we're talking about camera though, and zooming in and out, if you hold control and use your arrow keys up and down, this will change the camera position. Useful for some people if maybe you like to see like a bit of a higher point of view and don't want your character obstructing kind of, you know, your field of vision. I kind of like my character being more centered to the screen. So it really depends on what you like. It's a personal preference thing. Under item settings, inventory settings, we've got a couple interface options to kind of go through here. You've got inventory interface, which typically when you open up your inventory, you've got 4 panels that you got to cycle through, plus, you know, your crystals and key items. One thing that you can do is switch this to expanded or open all. Go with expanded, that'll show you 2 panels at a time, and then you can switch to the other 2 panels, and then it's got your key items and crystals. Or you can just go with open all. You know what this will do is show you your all 4 panels on one tab, or you can switch to key items and crystals on another tab. You can do mostly the same with normal and expanded for your retainer interface. There is no open all option. It functions pretty much the same. Under UI settings and general, we've got a couple, I think they're kind of important ones. Depends, again, preferences. I played without these for a long time and then kind of, you know, thought, hey, maybe I'll check them out and see if they're worth it. Recommendations. What this will do is, say you're in a new Dawn Trail zone, you haven't unlocked flying yet. It will show you your Aether Current quests in a little window that pops up on the side. Or maybe it'll show up with the other additional content quests, you know, the blue exclamation point ones that unlock stuff when you complete them. You can have that show up just when you log in, so it'll just be for the area when you log in, or you can have it show for the area change. These are specific to the area, so when you go to a new area, it'll say, hey, you should do these quests. Play guide. I haven't used play guide probably since I started playing. I don't know if they've updated it at all. I would imagine it kind of just shows you how to play the game. Achievements. Display achievements near completion as login notification. So when you log in, it'll just be this little green blurb that pops up showing, hey, these are some achievements that you are almost completed. Again, personal preference. Maybe if you're like chasing a mount from a achievement, doing a whole bunch of dungeons as a specific tank class. You know, totally not me or anything. You can see that and maybe get those last couple dungeons done. Lastly, under display settings, party list. Pretty big thing you could change here is the amount of status effect icons shown. I use the minimum of 5. Some people, you know, you could use 10. I probably should start using 10 so I can see everything that's going on. I don't even know if I can put on 10 different things. Let's try. Oh, it's probably not going to show. Oh, there we go. I've got 8. So you can have that capped around 5, 10, whatever you want. Another one you can set is under display name settings in general. Display class or job icons with nameplate. So you can have this under type 1 or type 2. And that will kind of show you if you have a paladin beside you or something else, because, you know, people can get pretty creative with their glams, and, you know, sometimes I had trouble identifying what are some of the other classes around me. Another thing that you can pick is to apply colors according to role. So what this does is if you're in an instance duty, somebody that's around you that's a tank will show up their name in blue, healers will show up in green, and DPS will show up in red. Again, not a huge one, but kind of helpful if you're looking to differentiate between your party members. I would imagine probably be pretty useful for a healer. Under hotbar settings display, we've got hotbar display settings. So one that I think is normally enabled is display recast times, but I believe it's usually type 1. So what this does is when you use an ability, it will show you the amount of time left until you can use it again in the bottom left corner of the ability, which can be a little bit small and not noticeable, especially when you've got a whole bunch of abilities that are kind of on cooldown and you're tracking a bunch of other stuff. It's not really easy to look at. So I switch it to type 2, it centers it, makes it a lot more specific to the ability. To me, it's a better visual cue because when there's no number, it means you can use it again. I also have hide unassigned slots enabled. So basically what that does is, oh, I don't have any hidden hotbars anyway. If you're not using something on your hotbar, there won't be like a kind of grayed out space where you could put an ability. Pretty much it. Again, personal preference. Some people maybe like it, just like some people maybe liked it seeing hotbar numbers. I don't. I like nice, clean UI. I don't know. From here, you can also change the layout of your hotbars. Again, you can go into HUD layout to do this stuff a little bit easier, in my opinion, because you can kind of pick and choose things individually. Even though you can do the same here, it's just I find it a bit simpler. You go under log window settings, under general log window settings. You've got display error messages when actions fail. This one basically is, you know, you've got an ability and you use it and it's on GCD still, or for some reason it's just not working, it'll pop up saying not yet ready, or maybe you're out of range, etc. If you disable this, you know, no error pops up. I usually just keep that one on. It, again, it's probably personal preference. That's gonna about do it for character configuration. Next, we're gonna look at system configuration, which you can either access by going under System, System Configuration, or I believe by default it's Control K. Under mouse settings, you can change the size of your mouse cursor. Large, maximum. I just leave it at normal. It's up to you though. You need, you know, a little bit more help seeing it. It is an option there. Something newly added in with Dawn Trail is action change settings. So you can find that under actions and traits, under actions. And some abilities now have what they call an action change. So when you use it, it will turn into a different ability. In Gunbreaker's case, No Mercy to Sonic Break, because in order to use Sonic Break, you have to have Ready to Break, which is only granted by No Mercy. This frees up some hotbar space for you. If you don't want to use it, you don't have to. You can enable it or disable it, up to you. We're going to go over a couple quick ones. These don't have any menu changes or anything. They're not exactly hidden, but a lot of people don't know about them. So one is Focus Target. And what this does is it'll put up a persistent health bar, and an action bar will pop up if it uses an ability. You can use it to, you know, focus on a boss if you're doing a trial or a raid, and some ads pop out. So you don't have to like constantly target them to look at info or kind of get an exact amount for health. It'll show the percentage right here. So I find it really useful, really great. Another one is summon pet sizes on Summoner. When you summon a pet, you can change their size. So in order to do that, you've got your chat window. You're gonna just type /pet size. It could be whatever you want. I usually just change them all at the same time. So pet size all. And you can go between small, do medium, or you could do large, right? With some of them, they don't change that much. But if you go with something like Titan or Ifrit or Uruta, they can be massive. 2 or 3 actually of the last things that I want to go over with you in this one. One thing you can do is mess around with glamour plates. I'm not going to go over everything that glamour plates do because they do a lot. It is a little bit better to acquaint yourself with glamour plates than to just keep individually glamming individual items. But what you can do is you can actually link glamour plates to a gear set. So you can have the same gear equipped on 2 different classes, but maybe for warrior, you want it to change to something different. So for me, I have a specific glamour plate set for warrior. Basically all you're gonna do is you right-click your equipment set, link to glamour plate, and then you choose one of your glamour plates and you press link. Ignore the cactuar colors. I don't know what I was thinking. The last one is, some people may not know, you can go into system, system configuration under theme settings, and you can choose 4 different themes. So they started out with just dark. You have to log in for it to change, I just remembered. They've got dark, light, classic FF, which is like a solid blue. It's not like a gradient or kind of translucent like these ones are. Or they've got clear blue. I guess I could cycle through them. Classic FF has like cool kind of pixelated edges, but I find that the look of it is very hard on the eyes, so I actually really like just the clear blue theme. The last one is extracting materia. Before, you could right-click on something if you had 100% spirit bond with something and extract materia from it. It would destroy the item and give you materia. Now, what they've done, spirit bond solely exists for extracting materia. So when your spirit bond reaches maximum, extract materia. It will say once the materia has been extracted from an item, its spirit bond will be reduced to 1%. Proceed. Sure. There you go. Free materia. Then you just have to build up your spirit bond again. And you can do this with, I believe, every piece of gear that you've got. You don't just need, you know, you don't have to rely on just getting turn-in, or the exchangeable currency clusters or whatever to get materia, or from quest rewards. You can get it from extracting materia from your gear. Hopefully you found this video useful. If there's anything I didn't go over that you'd like to see next time, please leave a comment down below. Like I said, I will have a video coming out just on some tips for beginners, or anybody that really hasn't played the game in a long time. Maybe you forgot some things. Going over stuff like materia extraction, simple things like, you know, where to find your duty list, or kind of what timers do, why it's useful visiting the Hall of the Novice when you're a new character, things like that. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.